The curator of the Elizabeth collection, dark-haired 50-something Louis Porticone, started collecting stuff when he was a kid.
Stones, plants, what do I know, animals, things like that. It's a personality thing.
Now he collects art, and his way of showing it off has sparked mixed reactions.
There's been moments that give me the goosebumps just to think about them. When somebody walks in who really gets it, who gets absolutely moved.
So would you like to go there?
Yeah, let's walk down here.
I mean, I would have never expected something like this.
Conductor Günter Herbig, a regular visitor to the Louvre in Paris, was astonished by Porticone's gallery when he came to town to conduct the RPO.
To see this kind of variety and this kind of creative force is interesting.
New York Times reporter David K. Johnston had a similar reaction.
I'd driven down the connector road and I had noticed this place off to the side, and I sort of wondered, what is that? And when I went inside with my wife, I was absolutely fascinated because there were so many different things, and it just kept going and going and going.
Porticone's art collection is named in memory of his mother, Elizabeth, and it forms the mainstay of a place called Artisan Works, a 40,000-square-foot old factory building in the Winton Blossom area that's been filled with paintings and objects from floor to ceiling.
Leave your troubles outside.
In one room, a 6-foot diorama features a row of plastic dancing girls and a fountain of gleaming coins.
We're an adult art theme park.
In almost every room there is a piano. Paintings by Andy Warhol and Marc Chagall hang side by side with prints by Rochester artists Robert Marks and Chaz Davis. There's a small movie theater, a Japanese tea room, and a rooftop garden.
You name it, we probably have it.
The curator, who gives tours in a denim shirt and sneakers, says Artisan Works has been compared to the Torpedo Factory Arts Center, a vast commercial arts complex in Alexandria, Virginia. Other visitors have likened the place to a factory from the movies. Like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, Artisan Works has a fantastical aspect to it. Most galleries are neat and sparsely furnished, featuring only a few select objects. By contrast, Artisan Works is packed to the gills with paintings, sculptures, and furniture. There are even canvases hanging from the ceiling. Some artists find the display overstimulating, disorganized, and even disrespectful. But curator Louis Porticone says he just has a different style. He calls it antiquarian.
Meaning that you go to like an antique store and it's all mounded and it has things, even though I call what we do organized chaos, but there's lots of things, and so people kind of sneak through and they go, oh my God, there's an Andy Warhol. And then they go through a bunch of other stuff and then, oh, there's a something or other, or there's an old painting from an old Rochester artist that was famous in the 40s or 30s.
Fostering that sense of discovery motivates Porticone, and he thinks his museum can be a model for the country, a not-for-profit museum where visitors get immersed in another world and meet artists working on the premises. He also says using old industrial spaces can revitalize cities such as Rochester.
The key to this would be whether you can make it financially viable.
Economics writer David K. Johnston of the New York Times, who lives in Brighton, says Porticone may be a visionary.
The finances that work for museums and artisans and things change over time, just like everything else does. Only one of the 10 companies on the original Dow Jones list is still around 100 years later, and who knows what kind of museums will be around in the future.
Porticone thinks he knows, even though the success of his venture is still up in the air. He admits the not-for-profit museum with an annual budget of about $500,000 has become something of a financial millstone. It's a struggle, he says, on the 15th and 30th of every month. But when Artisan Works moves into the black, it will prove what he's believed all along, that American art galleries must learn to survive without public funds.
We're talking about no government funding. So now we're talking about how do you bring in money, you bring in money through really cool parties.
On a recent Thursday night, about 100 people gathered in the center showroom at Artisan Works. Individuals and companies rent space for parties here every year. This party's organizer, Bob Gibbons, says he wanted to do something special to surprise a friend on his 80th birthday.
Where else would you have a party? You have all this art all over the place. You go to a hotel or something. I mean, what's your option? The Holiday Inn, or some party house someplace where there's just wallpaper on the walls, There is no other place to have a party but here.
Meanwhile, upstairs, curator Porticone and museum director Kim Trenholm pry open cardboard boxes shipped from Europe.
This lady's vacuum packed.
Trenholm holds up an Art Deco bronze sculpture by Russian-born artist Erte. It's a long and elegant woman in a black star-spangled dress. She has Medusa-like gold hair. Porticone sets her on a pedestal and steps back to admire.
I love that one.
He says he has plans for this place, and when the shadow of doubt crosses his mind, he studies something beautiful. He has a factory full of inspiration.
I've selected everything in the building. I love it all.
I'm Brenda Tremblay, WXXI News,